My name is Jennifer Woodall, and I'm a master's candidate at Lamar University. For my leadership video, I am sharing a professional development series titled Cooking Up Curriculum, I recently presented at the Access to General Curriculum Institute at Region 4 in Houston, Texas. This professional development was originally presented to a new teacher cohort in January of 2016. Partnering with me are Gervasia Breed and Jen Wilson. Cooking Up Curriculum is all about teachers learning how to effectively utilize the TEKS in their district curriculum to refine their planning practices. This session recharges knowledge and strategies to plan effective lesson cycles using updated information on the gradual release model. Our agenda states that we'll find our recipe by looking at the TEK or skill, gather our ingredients or our resources, then get cooking with the big idea, eat it up by looking at the gradual release model and differentiation, and wrapping it up, taking a look at the whole group lesson. What did they say? And then doing our dishes and packing up the leftovers. So with that being said, let's get cooking.
This morning, but coming from last year, I know that the other kids are probably amazing as well. So welcome to Cooking Up Curriculum. My name is Jennifer Woodall, and I'm a secondary ELA specialist for Humble ISD. And with me, I have Jennifer Wilson, who's our elementary counterpart, and Gervasia Breed, who's an instructional coach at Humble Middle School. So we're really excited to be here today. So rolling right along, this is kind of our flow of events. So if you want to think about it, when we're thinking about the lesson cycle or structuring planning, we're kind of a metaphor for it. So it's kind of like cooking. We're going with gumbo. So when we did this for teachers, we did cook them gumbo. But since they served us Fuddruckers, we're like, well, Fuddruckers is good.
Different types of gumbo, so differentiation scaffold. We would love to cook for you all.
That's awesome.
I know, there's something about issues and somebody goes, this sausage was fresh, you know.
So just kind of keep that in mind. So whether it's cookies or whatever it is, think about your grandma's favorite recipe that just holds you close to your heart today, and kind of have that in the front of your mind when you start talking about the recipe. So the first thing that we need to talk about finding your recipe. So to think about that, you picked up a colored piece of paper, and you can either do this by yourself or with those around you. I want you to kind of think about this. So you have a dinner party that you're planning. You have 15 people that are going to be there. What are you going to do to prepare for it? Okay, that's all the papers I'm going to give you. So on your colored sheet of paper, think about your plan. So you have 15 people. How are you going to prepare for this? We're going to meet back to in about 3.5 minutes to discuss.
It might be a barbecue. There you go. Yeah, there's 15 people. It doesn't have to be formal like this. But 15 people. And please feel free, like in your own kitchen, to choose your party to be, if they feel your personality, it's an outside barbecue, or a warm dinner, and like Wednesday. I think it's kind of party. We're going to have some discussion and some sharing out of it.
Bottom line, what is the occasion? So we focused on tailgating, a tailgate party at a, major college football game. But I mean, preparing food for 15 guys and gals, whatever, going to tailgate is different than preparing food for, let's say, a first grade birthday party.
You're exactly right. And even just tailgating for 15 guys is going to be different than 15 girls. Yes. Okay? So, one of those things that I'm kind of thinking with the Pinterest and the what's your occasion, you have to keep your audience in mind, right? So, that's where we're finding our recipe. And so, for you, and for me, and if you teach in Texas, we have kind of a common recipe, and that's the teats. And then from there, our school districts
QR code that we did for a fiction piece, but it's not a copy of, is my very favorite story, Lambs and Slaughter. Like, you look, I love it.
Has anybody read Lambs Slaughter? So it's like the wicked, twisted version of Roald Dahl. Yeah, it's like his, it's like his Jekyll and Hyde.
Wife kills the husband, cooks the meat, and
Far from
gives it to the, I teach my, you know, I went to, not gonna get to, but middle school kids love it. Like, and it's like a Alfred Hitchcock kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's PG though. I make it sound scary and they like it.
It reminds me of Friday. So when we think about a recipe, so we've got our recipe, we have this kind of outline, okay, we know where we're going. We have our ingredients together. When we start to actually cook, this is where we have to kind of think about what our next step is. And here it says that's where your formative assessments come in. Because as you go along, especially if it's a recipe you've never made before, if you don't do a little tasting kind of in between, or pull the oven open and check to see what's going on in there, sometimes you could miss something. Something's gonna end up burnt, some cake's gonna crash, maybe you forgot to add some salt, whatever it is, but you can catch it before it's too late. Okay, so that's really important here with our formative assessments, is just to make sure that we're checking on our recipe before it's too late.
So, okay, I am the basic three, and I'm usually on team, so, and I'm always loud. So. Well, what you're gonna do is now you have your recipe, which you'll include whatever your activity. You know how with somebody else idea, you like to explain it, so you don't explain it wrong.
Alright, so your card set is in the manila envelope that is on your table.
And you can work with the people at the table or the people behind you that's done with the card sort, you can move, like that's three, and now I'm gonna slide through over.
And so once you dump those out,
Okay.
you are gonna have two titles. So there's what is the teacher doing, what is the student doing, and then you're going to have 5 words that start with an S that are gonna kind of go down on the side. You're gonna kind of make yourself like a grid, a chart, X, Y axis. There's a reason why the literacy specialist on that. And then here in just a second, when the music starts, that's your cue then to begin sorting the squares with the little paragraph. Okay? So this is kind of getting us into, yes, we have the gradual release, and if you've been teaching more than about a year or two, at some point somebody has mentioned I do, we do, you do, and it kind of stays in that box. But this breaks it down a little bit further. We're going to talk. Okay.
So you'll make 2 columns, these are your 2 columns. What is the student doing, what is the teacher doing? That's kind of like a T-chart setup. Then on the side, you have like all these little cards. You're gonna decide there's gonna be an activity that says you're that kind of surveying. There's gonna be an activity that you're supporting or they're supporting. There's gonna be an activity that's used to sustain the information. There's gonna be an activity that's used to share information. And then there's something that's used to show the learning or the information. So as you go through, you kind of put these on the, maybe that on the side, if you have room, side and then top. So each one of these, we'll take them over the table. You're gonna have.
They got it.
Okay. Yeah, and then you slide your ideas based on, is the teacher sustaining or the student sustaining? Is the teacher supporting or the student supporting? If you need anything, please. Thank you. See? Oh, well, you y'all got, okay. I got no reason about it. Expository text, And it says, analyze how the organizational pattern of the text influences the relationship among ideas. She says, how do I use this to help them develop a plan? I said, well, what happens is, because they're aligned, you want to look at what happened in fourth grade. In fourth grade, they simply had to describe the relationship. How do the text and the relationship go there? How do you know when you need a how to? How do you know when you need information? How do you know when you need a spouse? So how do you know when you need procedure? Now they're asking you to analyze the text, meaning, can this same story be submitted in another type of organizational pattern? Is that even possible? So when we're looking at this, you want to look at where they started from and then look at where I want them to go. Can they describe? If they can describe, now we're going to look at how to get them to analyze. So when we talk about using your recipe, this is kind of where you look at where you start from too. Where's your starting point? You got a fresh load of fifth graders, it's what it should have been probably at the fourth grade. So now, when you build your lesson, you can build it based on at least them being at this level and moving forward from there. And if you get, if you have a resource class or a co-teach class, or if you looked at your data already and you know they didn't master this in fourth grade, then you're not gonna start at fifth grade. You're gonna start at fourth grade, and you're gonna say, let's make sure we can describe this. And that doesn't mean spend a whole week, but that's gonna be a quick reteach, mini lessons. We need to make sure we can do this so that we can move forward. So, inviting you all, invite them to share out and say, okay, miss, you showed us this last time, but I don't see how this goes together. I don't see how this works. So that's kind of creating, once again, empowerment that he talked about before. Making sure that they, okay, to ask questions, say what they get and don't get. I personally spelled something wrong on the board. I know it's strange that I'm a language arts teacher with a spelling issue. And my kids are like, miss, that's not spelled right. And if somebody doesn't say that to fifth period, you know how mad I am like the first period? So y'all left this on the board all day long. The first period, fourth, third, y'all came through here, you started wrong. Let it happen again. Let it happen again. Got the wrong word on my board out there. Nobody said it. Y'all trying to embarrass me. Yeah, because that's part of it. I'm not perfect. If it's wrong, somebody say something. And if nobody say nothing, we all need to work on spelling. Let me back up and add that to the list.
So our students, when they're sharing, so just like the teacher, and she kind of touched on that, they're kind of stepping into the waters just a little tiptoe at a time. And then our next part of that,
I thought I could.
is support. So I've showed you, we've shared in our learning, and now I'm going to support you. So this is still kind of in that we do. It's really kind of just a blend. There's not like a chop off place. So here I'm supporting. So as the teacher, I'm continuously kind of delicately handing over that responsibility because you may be ready, you may not be ready. And I need to know kind of when to pull back or when we can smash the gas and keep going. And then as the student, at this stage, you're becoming more accountable for yourself and your learning, okay? And monitoring your own understanding. So do I get this? Do I not get this? And then as she was talking about, asking for help.
At the support thing, especially for the newer teachers too, a lot of times you just want to say, no, not that one. That goes over here. But they were sorting, I said, okay, how y'all doing? I said, it might want to be, well, just maybe you want to start just separating the teachers from the students. So that's kind of support. Let me just start y'all, let me scaffold you out. If you can separate the teachers from the student, then let's see if now you can work on it in chunks and in pieces. And that's great differentiation because every group doesn't need the same thing. And so this is what, as a borrow line from the Aldine back in my days, on your feet, not in your seat when you walk around. And these are the things you have to listen for because there are a lot of kids who will never tell you they don't get it. But as you walk around, if you keep seeing them flipping over that same piece of paper, flipping and moving and sliding that same piece of paper, you go, okay, let's figure out. And you scaffold it out. Okay, let's try this. Let's see if everything looks like show. What kind of nouns or verbs or adjectives describe show? Let's see if we can find some words that at least lead us to that point. So that's what we mean when we walk around. You don't want to take it from them. You just want to give them a little more to move their independence. A little more, and it might be more for one group, and one group might need nothing. And now, you got it? Oh, y'all are perfect. They should, okay, I got something for you. Over there with them, and you go back there with them. Don't get an answer, just help. That's always perfect, because there's only one of you, and there's usually about 30 of them.
So for sustain, again, we are moving down the continuum. So like I said, it's kind of bleeding and making sure they're not
So I work in stations, and so they know that on any given time at a station, you're gonna see any skill that you've ever seen in your life. And so they necessarily limit to what we're working on this week. You're gonna see last week. You're gonna see the 4th grade teach, the 3rd grade teach. You're gonna see dictionary usage. Dictionary. And these are times that things are not quote unquote part of your teach at your grade level, but you know that they have yet mastered it. These are things to circle back around. And we talk about time being a crunch and so many things to do. This is a good way to do that. That they're constantly knowing you're going to see this again. And when they get there and at their station and they don't know how to do it, that's when you get your interactive notebook, or as I like to call it, the book of grammar and writing. Turn to the book, turn to the book of periods and punctuation. Find your information, use your notes, let them have some productive struggle. That's part of the sustaining. And then as you watch the things that they're still not growing with, see that more often. But the things that they got, fine. They still need to see it again. Maybe not as often, maybe it's a pop-up here and a pop-up there, but we gotta make sure that they don't have this kind of throwaway, like they leave your room and like, you know, they empty their backpacks at the end of the year. They have a tendency to empty their minds at the end of that test. All right, let me make room for new stuff. And now we're here. Now I have to remind my students, I say, did you forget to crawl when you learned to walk? No, I say, anybody here can still crawl. Can you run? Once you learn to run, anybody here can still walk? They're like, yes. Right. Don't throw anything away. You build on top of it. So you have to be sustaining that to make sure. And that's what the survey talks about. Going from beginning to middle to end to learners and making sure that they are successfully on their own or not successfully pulling out those small groups, your tutoring groups. If you have a co-teacher, hey, we're going here, slide over here. I'm going to meet y'all in this corner in 2 seconds. And that might not always be just your inclusion kids. Sometimes it's your non-inclusion kids in that same group based on ability and need.
So then this next part just kind of talks about what does the teacher talk look like? Okay, so previously we just kind of did, well, what are you doing, but what does that talk look like? So this here kind of is part of that academic feedback that's so key. Not just, oh, you're doing such a good job, I like how you laid these out, y'all are doing good, oh, that looks nice. Nice job. You're giving specific feedback. So with the show, you're having explicit language. So like she was talking about, you're talking to yourself, you're doing that think aloud, you're inviting learners to kind of notice what's going on. It reminds me of my favorite person, Jeff Anderson. Your invitation to notice, what's happening here? What do you notice about this? We could be addressing something by attracting our students' attention to something, but for the large part, we're the ones doing that talking. When we're sharing, again, it's kind of a bleed. So we're giving our students that invitation to talk. Then the support, this is the big part for me, I think, because we do a good job of sometimes spending our whole class period or whatever being the one directing the learning, but giving them that support where they may not be too certain, maybe about what's happening, and then letting them know that it's more than just sharing, but you're really pushing them thinking on that.
And a good way to demonstrate that is like when we're annotating text, because when we do the I do, whatever instructional strategy you want them to use, that's where you ought to demonstrate where you're doing it. And I always use my I do in like one color ink. And then when we get ready with the we do, I'll slide to another color ink. And that's so that, 2 years from now, I'll remember what I was doing. Or for the kid who was absent and he waits 3 weeks to say, Miss, I never did. What oranges? You weren't here? So you have your guide. So you have your whatever we did in blue. Okay, so we were talking about punctuation, identify some. So now you tell me how, let's identify some places that the punctuation affects the tone of the poem. And they'll take their one in blue. And so in pencil or in orange, and I like to color code, I give them colors out of buckets. Then down their color, you're gonna go through and you're gonna identify one. And maybe each person at your table has a different color. You're gonna identify an area on your own and tell me how that punctuation affects it. How does it change? If we're talking about the TP cast, which I love to do, how the tone shifts from here to here in your color ink. And if you walk by and they don't have any orange, no orange. A lot of times too, this is a good way to ensure that they are following the process with you. A lot of times it's not that they can't do it individually because they lack the ability, it's that they have not followed the process with you. So now you can't let their hand go because they were never really in it. So you can go by and you can say, go raise your hand and I'll raise the part that I gave you. So when they go, well, I can't do it, you sure can. So when you get through copying my part and then get in the redo, then come see me. Because we gotta make sure we keep that accountability there, otherwise we'll run ourselves into the ground with, I taught this and I did this. Favorite line, you don't walk into the grocery store and get food just because there's food there. You have to do something. There are steps to this. Just because you show up every day, if you're not doing something, it's not just gonna happen. So making sure that it's a level of accountability for it on both parts.
So then the sustain and the survey both kind of work closer and where our students have control. So at this point, we're really being their cheerleaders. That yes, you did exactly what I knew that you could do all along. It kind of reminds me of like the Wizard of Oz, that she knew, all along. So again, after those successful repetition.
So going back to kind of the format of cooking. So we started with our recipe, and I love to cook, so I love this analogy or this comparison of planning a lesson to cooking because it's really easy to think about. And now I have young kids, so thinking about gradual release, I do this all the time. I'm not going to teach my 2-year-old to brush her teeth at one time and then walk away. So we do this in our everyday lives. So if we're thinking about it in that way, it's really easy to transfer it into the classroom when we're planning with our teams. So after we've served the food, after your 15 people have left, the next thing you're going to do is probably get on Facebook and see what they said about your party. Right? or hopefully as they're walking out the door, they're thanking you for a great time or telling you how good the food was. And that's the same thing that we're looking for from our students. As they're walking in the hallways with their friends, what are they telling? Oh, or oh, she's the worst teacher, so boring. So this is where we have to take all of that feedback and decide what we're going to do differently next time. So I've had my party, all the guests have left, I've gotten my feedback. Next year when it's time to have this party again, what am I going to do differently when it comes around? And so these are just some examples of feedback, like from cooking websites, feedback that people have given after they tried the recipe, and that's the same thing that we're looking for in our classroom. So everybody's left, now we're doing the dishes, we're packing up the leftovers. Okay, so after all the cooking and eating is finished, how do you clean up the mess? So we get those test scores back, and they're not quite as great as we would have hoped that they would have been. What do you do with your leftovers? Those few struggling kids that are still not really getting it. Okay? And what is most important when you're reteaching? So take just like 30 seconds and talk to somebody next to you about what you do with your leftovers per se. So what are some important things that you guys talked about? What do we need to consider when we're packing up and cleaning up the dishes? Yeah.
So there's so many different ways to do it, but one way, teachers out after school tutorials, but how do you make after school tutorials like worth coming to? And so one thing I've done in the past is, I play classic rock in the background. Not that I'm recommending a specific genre, but the point is I'm making a different atmosphere between the regular school day and after school. It was more casual, it was a little more, inviting. And so I'm not saying I had the greatest tutorials ever, but it was just something so that it's not just more of the same.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Does anybody want to add to that or share maybe just something different in your group? I love that you said that, because if I get my feedback on my party and my feedback wasn't that great, I don't want to throw the exact same party next time. I have to do things differently. I have to fix it up. And a lot of times we either talk slower or we talk louder and we're delivering the same message. And we have to realize that there's a reason that it didn't go over so well the first time. Maybe I need to add some more salt next time. Maybe I need to do something a little bit differently. And that's where our differentiation comes in. So when we delivered this PD the first time, we did cook gumbo for our participants. And each of us made a different pot of gumbo, okay? So my friend Jennifer here, she made the Mama's Home Cooking lesson plans. So these are the lesson plans that you have slaved over. You have used the top of the line ingredients. It has simmered all day long. She made the roux from scratch. This lesson or pot of gumbo was dynamite, okay? This is the one that the kids are like excited about. They're going to get it. You know, best pot of gumbo ever, okay? Now, I tend to lean towards the healthy. I'm the substitution person, so I'm the one that's like using Splenda instead of sugar and egg whites instead of, you know. So I made the skinny gumbo. It was pretty much just like all vegetables and turkey sausage. So it wasn't, did it serve the purpose? Yes. Did it feel void? Yes. Was it as good as hers? Not even close. Okay? So a lot of times when we're planning our lessons, that's what we do. We substitute. Oh, I'm going to throw this out, I'm going to do, not saying that that's a bad thing because it's part of differentiation, but think about what you want your end product to look like or taste like. Okay? And then my friend Gervasia here, she went to H-E-B and bought the Campbell's gumbo in a can.
And I did add Tony Cedric. There's a light coat on there for flavor.
So this would be the equivalent of like printing out a worksheet off the internet and putting it on board.
And I use water bag rice.
So again, what's the difference? Depending on the recipe you choose or the lesson plan that you create, your end product is going to come out different. Okay, so it's all about, you know, what it's the time and the effort that's put into it. Okay? So based on those recipes, you know, how are your kids learning? 10%, we only retain 10% of what we read. To me, that's the equivalent of the canned gumbo. Okay? 95% of what we teach someone else to do. That's giving those kids the opportunity to learn it themselves and then work with their classmates and teach it. Okay, so it's all, that end product is directly related to how much of that your kids are actually going to retain. So, let's get cooking. So when you're back at your campuses and you're planning with your team, keep that in mind, that it is a process, but hopefully your end product is some awesome home cooking gumbo.
And if you will, put your cards back in the envelopes because we have a second session that follows this one, as well as the taco article, the oranges, and the vertical alignment sheets. Everything that we have that you looked at is available to you with our QR code on the website that we printed at the bottom of our handout. Thank you so much for being here.
And the facilitator did pass out a survey. So do you want them to just leave that?
Yes.
On the way out?
Or I'll be shut the door.
Okay, perfect. Thank you guys.
If you have any questions, comments, concerns, oh, you like I do in class. Any questions, comments, concerns, or prayer requests? Yes, ma'am.
In the beginning, Cooking Up Curriculum was born out of a desperate meeting between a fed-up instructional coach and her two J-Dub sidekicks. It was the dawn of a new semester, and a new teacher team had yet mastered the lesson planning cycle. With over half of the team on a growth plan, we knew we had to put some type of PLC together that was longer and different to help these teachers be successful. We decided to create a metaphor for the lesson planning cycle and comparing it to cooking, specifically making gumbo. We created 3 different styles. Gervasia brought a canned version, which entailed the warming up of some pre-cooked rice from a pouch and opening up a can of Campbell's chunky soup style chicken and sausage gumbo. The second version was made by Jen Wilson, and it was a skinny gumbo. It had turkey sausage and lots of vegetables. It really just kind of amounted to a spicy soup. Then the one that I made was the Mama's home-style cooking type of gumbo. It was complete with a homemade, very intensive roux, tasso, andouille sausage, shrimp, and chicken, and it was to die for. It was served with French bread and rice that was made in a rice cooker. We compared the gumbos to different lesson planning styles. So my version, the Mama's Home Cooking version, was your stellar lesson plan that had lots of love and attention. These are the type of lessons that we love to do in a very perfect world, but they take a lot of time, a lot of tasting, and a lot of practice to get them right. The Skinny Gumbo represented those lessons that mirrored the home cooking version, but maybe required some modifications for the audience that they were intended to, so it was kind of a differentiated gumbo. The canned gumbo we compared to pulling something off of Teachers Pay Teachers, or a worksheet off of a website, or maybe a book, or just something purely off of a shelf. This is something that had an unknown. It might be fit for the job, but isn't always very good for kids, for people, or any situation. The training was so beneficial for our teachers in the district that we decided to take it on the road. I wrote a proposal to accessing the General Curriculum Conference at Region 4 in Houston, Texas. It was accepted, and I knew that I would need my co-presenters with me, because being a leader is also knowing when to build up your people, and part of this training was to build capacity with my instructional coach, Gervasia Breed, that serves at one of our middle schools. To tailor the training, we reflected. We had to change several things. We had to broaden our scope. We couldn't just use our curriculum documents from our district, since we were serving teachers from many school districts around the Region 4 area. We knew we couldn't actually make gumbo, because doing that feasibly for 100 people at a big institute was not something that would be an easy task. And we also had to shrink a whole day's PLC professional development, where we discussed each element, broke it down, practiced it with our curriculum documents, with the TEKs, with PLC planning documents, to just a 1-hour breakout session. So there had to be a lot of cutting that took place, and specificity and information. I believe, however, that we accomplished our goal, because many of the attendees were so pleased with the session. Some said that it was the most amazing breakout session of the 3-day institute. A facilitator from Region 4, who was responsible for our setup, she wants us to present or assist and co-present with her to present to some behavior teachers, because the gradual release model we discussed is explained exactly what they're trying to get at with their teachers. So part of this is knowing your audience, knowing what you have to do to make it tailor specific audiences, and it was definitely an honor, and I would be happy to do it again and again, a whole day on a campus with teachers or at another conference.